Guess what? Oprah's still here. We wouldn't let her leave. She just revealed, as you know, her latest book club selection. Matriarch is the name of the book by the lovely Tina Knowles. It's a very personal memoir detailing Tina's life story from growing up in Texas during segregation to raising music superstars. That would be Beyoncé and Solange, of course. Tina, we are so glad to have you in the studio. I've been waiting to talk for people to hear your story. But what was interesting to me reading the book, when I got to the part about the cancer, I called Oprah. I said, "You didn't say that Tina had cancer?" So when I read it, it was like being punched in the gut. You didn't reveal that, even when you're talking to people.
Because anytime anybody's going to read the book, yes. I don't want to tell you what's in the book.
Yes.
I will tell you that when I first started reading the book, as we said earlier, I wasn't reading it as a book club selection, but because it is such a strong and powerful story. And what you did is what I think is so hard to do when you're writing a memoir, and that is to tell your story intimately, personally, but also make it universal so that everybody else who's reading it feels the depth of your story and thinks about their own story. And so I believe everybody who has a mother,
yes,
and everybody who is a mother,
yes,
is going to love this story because you're the ultimate matriarch, but you make it universal for everybody.
Exactly.
Thank you.
What is it like for you, Tina, this day that it's come out? Now people will hear about your news. They will hear about your life story. What is this day like for you?
It's it's a wonderful day. I mean, look what I'm starting off doing. You don't get better than this, but I still have a little anxiety, because you're just putting it out into the world and to be really scrutinized and turned over and regurgitated. They'll
always have something to say. But what I'm fascinated about this book is because your family is notoriously private, how you were able to write this book and what you decided to include. Did you talk to them about it first? Did you say, this is what I'm thinking? What was that process
No,
like?
I didn't. I just gave each of them their parts of the book. And of course, I started off with 1,000 pages, so I had to take a lot of things
1,000 pages?
1,000 pages, and the publisher was like, nobody's gonna read a book that's 1,000 pages. You gotta take out 500 pages.
Especially Gayle King.
Right.
That's all she'd be saying is, you realize this is 1,000 pages?
Right. Hush, Oprah, hush.
So and so I just put the things in there, and I tried really hard to tell the stories without telling other people's stories, and that is really hard.
Yes.
You talked there about some of your anxiety, your nerves about the book, all of it being out there. What are your hopes, though? How do you hope people receive it?
I hope that people will, for one, be inspired by some of the stories of the things that I've overcome. And I also hope that people will do their family trees and get into their legacy and their ancestors, and because I didn't know my grandparents. So it was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, is to leave that for my grandchildren that I want, my great-grandchildren that I might not meet. And they'll have a story in my words and not someone else interpreting my story.
Tina, one of the things I find fascinating is oftentimes, even if you're close to your children, they may not know you. They may not know your
so
backstory,
true, Vlad.
right? You may have, and there are a lot of people who don't have close relationships.
They certainly don't know who you were as a young girl.
Exactly.
100%.
So one of the most fascinating details in the book is you chronicle your decades-long relationship and your marriage to the father of Beyoncé and Solange, Matthew Knowles. And I want to know if they knew that you had this on-again, off-again relationship with him. Until they read the book.
Of course they did when they were older. Yeah. But when they were younger, they knew, And there was a time that I separated, and, they were devastated because they were very young, and they never knew why, the real reasons why. And so it's a difficult thing until they're older, because you don't want to put that on a kid, so.
Tina and I did a podcast, as we do, for the Oprah's Book Club for Starbucks on YouTube.
Doesn't that come out today?
Yes, it's out right now on YouTube for Starbucks. And here's the thing that I love so much is that she knew early on, this is before people were sending their kids to therapy. She knew early on that the girls' relationship with each other needed to be balanced and talked about in a way that she didn't feel capable of doing completely herself. So she started sending them both to therapy at a very young age so that they could appreciate each other's talents. And I think one of the things you do so beautifully in Matriarch is you balance each girl's story.
Yes.
So it's not just all about Beyonce.
Beyonce, yeah.
You say Solange is the word artist. I mean,
She's art.
she is art.
Yeah.
But what I liked too was hearing about your own personal life as a little girl. You know, there's some racism in the book. You know, your brother was attacked. Your father almost died, and to hear that you were arrested. Teeny B was your nickname because apparently you were quite a mouthy little girl.
I was a mouthy thing. Yeah.
The biggest surprise to me is that her name was Beyonce.
Yes,
That's where Beyonce,
her last name.
That your last name was Beyonce, and that's where Beyonce's name came from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I, as a little kid, I say all the time that my parents had me at 44 and they were tired by then. So I just got to talk back and, have my own opinions about things, and it really saved me.
Yeah.
And because if I hadn't had that mouth, I would have suffered greatly.
As a 44-year-old parent, I can confirm
Of
that
four.
of four. But I'm also interested in the commercial success of Destiny's Child and your hand in guiding that. I mean, that group to success, and even the name. Could you talk about that part of the book?
Yes, I did, because I put their picture in my NIV study Bible. And one day I opened it and it said Destiny, and I was like, that's the name.
That's the name.
And
Great
my
insight.
ex-husband added Child to it because it was already a group by that name.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
You talk about a complicated relationship with your mother in particular, but so when it came to you being a mother, you said motherhood was the best important job of your life and you wanted to get that right.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Well, just because I was rebellious as a teenager, and just like I said, had a mouth on me, and sometimes my mouth got me in a lot of trouble. I talk about going to jail on a motorcycle. My mouth got me there. So with my kids, I said, I got to control myself. I have to be deliberate and intentional, and I got to stop I got to keep it together because I have to give. I just didn't want to screw that up because I screwed some stuff up,
Don't you think Matriarch Oprah is such a good title for this? Because so many people wish you were their mother that they didn't have.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was
Or
gonna say
they
it's
think
not just
of you.
the girls.
Yes.
It's not just Destiny's Child.
Yes.
It's the entire beehive that sees you as a
As a
matriarch.
mother.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I think that what she does is pay such great tribute to her mother and her grandmother. And you see very early on in the beginning of the book, because her mother was this incredible seamstress, and Johnny, and Johnny's role in your life. You were so close to him, and then the whole Renaissance thing is about Johnny.
Yeah.
And the fact that your mother was such a great seamstress, and now all of you all dress like your mother would have wanted you to dress.
Exactly.
And all of that is in the book. And guess what, Tina? We have a two-part interview with you tomorrow because it wasn't 1,000 pages, but we tried to get every drop out of this book. It's so good. Thank you, Oprah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you.
Really.
I have to tell you this, Matriarch is on sale now wherever you like to buy your books. Tina's going on a book tour. Were you going to the Cowboy Carter concert?
I got my outfit.
Check out the website to see what city she's coming to.